Hey everyone, I'm Steph Strickland, your Sun and Fun Home Edition performer profile hostess, sometimes with the mostest. I am so thrilled to be here with you guys today. We have some of my absolute hands down favorite people in the air show industry joining us. I cannot wait. I've got the chat fired up. So for those of you guys who are just joining us, as always, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And we're going to give away some free things for you. So this is a chance. Again, let us know in the comments and feel free to share this live stream as well with your friends, create a watch party, and get your questions in the comments on the Sun and Fun Facebook page. And I'll be sure to pass along as many of them as I can in real time. I want to congratulate our last giveaway winners. The t-shirt went to Jessica Belcher from Minnesota. So congratulations to you, Jessica. If you wear that collector's item t-shirt to Sun and Fun 2021, if you come out, the prize patrol will be on hand roaming around and they will give away upgrades on the spot, really cool extra prizes, lots of cool things. By the way, you can also purchase a shirt if you want, and that prize patrol giveaway in 2021 at Sun and Fun happens anyway. And then the 4 tickets went to Kelsey Malazewski from Jensen Beach, Florida. So congratulations to you, Kelsey, for those 4 tickets. If you want 4 tickets to Sun and Fun 2021, again, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. Now, I want to bring Greg Gibson into the conversation with Sun and Fun. Greg, you have worked so hard to make sure that this all went off without a hitch. To create something as robust as the Sun and Fun Home Edition has been no easy task. What has been the most rewarding thing that you've worked on under this umbrella so far?
Well, Steph, thanks for that. Yeah, it's been quite an adventure for sure. You know, we've had this obviously a big disappointment not being able to have the Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo, and one of my favorite things, obviously, seeing all my friends. You know, working with people that I've been around for a long time. So I'd say the most rewarding thing would be able to meet and interface with these folks, give them a chance to get out in front of their audience, even though they couldn't do it for real at our show. Hopefully, thanks some of their sponsors. Super shout out to Live Air Show TV, Jeff and Brian Lee, those guys, Steph, all the people that have helped put this together. We really couldn't do it without you. So this has been just kind of a labor of love. We want to make sure that we are out there and people are keeping up with us and know that we're still plugging away for the air show industry, and that we got a lot of fun stuff. We're going to take what we couldn't do for in a live show and stretch that out over the 11 months in between that one and what's coming in 2021. So lots of fun things to look forward to.
Well, you mentioned it, Greg, when you talked about having a chance to hang out with friends, and that's exactly what we are about to do. But I also want to give a special shout out right now in the chat on Facebook to Flying Magazine. We see that you've joined us. We also, Flying Magazine, really appreciate your support in sharing these live feeds with all of your fans and followers, so the more people get involved in the mission. So shout out to Flying Magazine right there. Now, it is without further ado that I would like to bring into the conversation the Shetterly Squadron. So we have Greg Shetterly, we have Mickey Shetterly, we have Jeff Shetterly, and we have Joe Shetterly, who will, from now on, as far as I'm concerned, be referred to as Rifle, because he's the former A10 demo guy, and that is his call sign. So Greg, Mickey, and Jeff are in Table Rock Lake, Missouri. And Rifle, you're in Council Bluffs Airport in Iowa at what, Mustang School? What are you doing out there?
Yeah, you got it, Steph. It's ground school for the P-51. So every year we get a chance to come together and get back in the books and get back in the airplane and get ready for the season. And we're not being held back this year despite the challenges this spring.
Yeah, that's, despite the challenges, people sort of persevering and moving forward is really what it's all about. I want to ask the whole family right now, and I'll let you decide amongst yourselves who wants to start. But what is it that makes Sun and Fun so special for you guys?
Well, for me, it's the remarkable, relaxed atmosphere in such a huge event. And it's such an opportunity to get together with old friends and make new friends. And I so enjoy watching the young kids get inspired by what they see while they're walking the grounds. It's pretty amazing to watch. Young and old alike, or older alike, not necessarily old.
Right. What do you think, Mickey?
I love the kids as well. I love the moms that are there and asking me what I think about all of this that my family does. I love just having that communication with each other and the connection with the people. I love that there are so many general aviation pilots there, and I love to hear their stories and how they got their start. So that's a big thing.
For folks who are watching on the screen right now, you're looking at one of the big things that we do at Sun and Fun, which is this sort of pre-flight show. And the behind-the-scenes story of that is that airplane got pulled into frame about 30 seconds before, and it was one of the most dead panicked I've ever been before a live shot, because they're coming to me in my ear. You guys are standing there. The airplane had just showed up, and somehow we managed to get it all together at the last minute. I don't know, Jeff, if you recall that moment, but for me, I was sweating bullets. We did it. We got it done.
Yeah, it was amazing. It all came together. It was fun to have that work out.
You know what I love about the Shetterly Squadron is the last minute stuff, and it always comes together just like it's supposed to. So that's amazing.
We're all pretty good at that last minute stuff. Sorry.
We get it done. Jeff, what is your favorite part about Sun and Fun? And then we'll ask Rifle next.
Yeah, sure. I love the way Sun and Fun is I mean, I think everybody kind of has cabin fever, and I've got a dog next to me here. And you know, it's the kind of one of the first big events in the season, which I love, and focus on STEM education and kids. And I personally got inspired at Sun and Fun in 2005. It was a big deal to me to watch that show day in and day out. Met some new friends, and then some new friends came. One guy even came from Kenya to watch me perform at my first Sun and Fun, and we had met in 2005. So just I have a lot of kind of roots to Sun and Fun. I love the folks there. Everybody on the board is so cool, and you know, you guys, this is very dedicated. I don't know another more dedicated group to doing what we want to do, which is sort of inspire people to get into aviation, and also just to kind of pursue what it is that turns them on and get out in the physical world and you know, do what they really want to do. So I love Sun Fun.
Bud Goodman joining in on the chat saying round engines forever. So let's take it out now.
Amen.
Let's take it out to Rifle.
Yeah.
Rifle, what is it that makes Sun and Fun special for you?
Yeah, I'll piggyback a little bit on what Dad said. The relaxed environment is great. So it is a huge show with a small show feel. And that for us as performers and just lovers of everything aviation in general, it's like going to your local small pancake fly-in, except everyone's there and anything you possibly want to see is there. And then I'll step right on top, so to speak, of Jeff's comment there. We had an opportunity as a family to go to the local high school that's right there at the field during the event and meet with students and share a little bit of our story. But as Jeff mentioned, we were as inspired as we hoped that maybe we were able to inspire others. But it's a real, tangible education experience for the young people at the event, maybe more so than we've seen at any other event, honestly.
Well, before I transition into talking to all of you about what it takes to make these sort of three disparate aircraft come together in a formation flying capacity, let me piggyback off that, you piggybacking off your dad, to say on the screen right now is an opportunity for folks who are in a position to donate, to visit our website or text to give. And all of the programs and the heart and soul behind Sun and Fun is helping the future aviators, the future technicians to get, well, good paying jobs and to become firmly rooted in this aviation community. That's the entire mission. So given that the Sun and Fun physical event isn't happening, this is the best opportunity that we have to continue to provide that valuable service. And that's why you see that information there at the bottom of your screen. And we're certainly grateful to participants like the Shetterly Squadron for helping us bring you what is hopefully unique content. And we definitely have some fun stuff in store here with this interview. So let me start. I think I'll start with Greg, and anyone else can chime in for this. When did you get the idea to pull these different airplanes together that fly differently and interact differently? And how did you get yourself in the situation where you are able to fly in formation and fly an air show routine, either as single ships or as a family?
That's a big question.
I like those.
Yeah. Well, we started out, I started out single ship. I built my airplane to do competition. And one day, Rifle called me and said, hey, he was an A-10 demo at the time. And he said, Dad, why don't you get your aerobatic card so we can fly some air shows together? So that's kind of how it got started for me. Years ago, I flew a small air show and decided it wasn't time yet for that. So when Rifle came along and said, hey, let's do this, I jumped on it and got my aerobatic card. And so we started doing our single ship stuff at air shows. Jeff hadn't had the T6 yet, but we were bugging him about, he needed an airplane that fit him. So, but anyway, and then Joe and I don't know how it actually happened. Maybe Joe can fill in here. We decided to do a 2-shift routine with the one design and his RV8, and that took some real effort. We got together with Mr. Bill Stein and got our aerobatic formation cards, and I have to say that's one of the most challenging experiences of my aviation career, and it was well worth it. There's just nothing more thrilling than being on the wing of these guys and in a tight formation with these crazy airplanes. And then Jeff got the T6, and I don't know when the idea came that, hey, let's do 3-shift,
Yeah.
So we debuted it right at Sun and Fun. So,
True.
So,
Yeah.
That was a
Sun and Fun history.
Sun and Fun history.
Yeah.
Yeah. But trying to fit these airplanes together, and I had my airplane down for some maintenance and engine overhaul and so on. So I ended up using an extra 300, which made it maybe a little bit easier, but still quite different. All the airplanes are totally different. But we put it together, worked hard at it, had a lot of interesting debriefs, so you can't have a thin skin when you're doing this stuff. You have to take it and give it to keep it safe, and that's what we did. Yeah,
That's true.
Anyone else want to jump in on that?
Well, it's a lot of learning, Steph, I think that for all the other aviation nerds that might be watching, I think that technically what's really interesting about flying disparate airplanes in formation at all, and certainly when you get into the third dimension of up and down, then you have to consider, not only, your cruise speed, but your climb rate and also your drag profile. So as we pick up speed going on the downline, we never would have guessed necessarily at the time, not knowing that Dad was going to run out of speed on the downline, but he's got a really kind of a larger fat wing cord and a fixed pitch propeller, which we learned is like a barn door going down. So who knew, right? I mean, he outclimbs me by 4 times my climb rate, but downhill, I'm like, probably how it would be if we were in toboggans. So
pretty much. I have to anticipate as soon as that big old T6 nose starts to crack the horizon, I got to be driving down. Or he just walks away. But it's great fun. Great fun.
What do you think, Rifle?
I just wanted to clarify, we needed to find an airplane that would fit Jeff's big personality.
Yes.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's hilarious.
It's
coming
been
in on the chat from Bryant, who just says, really, Sun and Fun for him is like Disneyland. And so he can't wait to get back there next year. He's been the previous 2 years, and he just loves it. John Edwards is chiming in on the chat and wants to know, what was your first aerobatic airplane? And I'll let all of you answer that. You can decide who wants to go first.
I guess I'll pile on that one. Mom and I had the just pure pleasure of kind of learning how to fly at the same time. And so we have an airplane that we affectionately call the Green Machine, and it's a Citabria that is green and white and has shamrocks, and that's really become Mom's airplane. And kind of throwing back to Jeff and my childhood, we got excited about flying remote control airplanes. At the time, Dad surprised my mom with this radio control airplane that he built for her birthday that was green and white with shamrocks. And years later, when it was time for the family to go ahead and get into an airplane, he made this deal, almost had the deal sealed, that, oh, I'm sorry, I never asked you what color it was. And the guy says, well, it's a little odd, I hope this isn't a deal breaker, but it's green and white with shamrocks. So that's really Mom's airplane, but that's the airplane that her and I got our license in, and that Dad taught us basic aerobatics when I was a teenager.
Who next?
Yeah, so that was the family's first aerobatic plane, really. I was partnered in a Pitts S1. That was fun. That was interesting with a guy out of Atlanta, and it was a learning experience. Thank goodness we all kind of lived through those first years until we got to know some people who were smart and that's really good. I would recommend that.
Right.
Get involved with smart people if you're going to do something dangerous. Just a little tip for everybody.
Well,
Life
interesting,
lesson.
my first aerobatic experiences after Mickey and I were first married, we ran a little airport down in Florida. At the time, it was called McDonald Field, and it was an old J3 Cub there with blue and white sunstripes on it and sunburst. And I hate to admit it, but the fabric was, I think, flapping on the ailerons. But anyway, the fellow that owned that airplane took me out, and I did my very first loop in that J3 Cub. And then later on, I'm going to college, and well, actually, it was before. Actually, my very first experience was I wanted to dovetail into what Greg Coots was saying about his experience with a musketeer. Remember that conversation? That going out and rolling a musketeer and ended up splitting us out of the maneuver. That's exactly what I did with an instructor in Traverse City, Michigan, when I was going to school. So after that experience, we got on the ground, thankfully, and we went and talked to one of the salesmen who was an aerobatic competitor and told him what we did. And yeah, we got chewed out pretty good for that one, but he did tell us how to do it properly. So those are my first real aerobatic experiences. And then the good news about that is it convinced me I needed to have some instruction.
Yeah.
Always
I
a good
got a fun
thing.
one. So Mom and I barrel rolled the Citabria for the first time in Atlanta, and we were like, "How hard can it be?" You know, and it was harder than I thought. Yeah. You remember that?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. But we're still here, so that's good.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
And
We
that's
have
just,
Laura
hey, if you're
Sherwood.
interested-
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Steph, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Laura Sherwood on the chat. She's really enjoying this. She says hello to everyone. This would have been her 28th Sun and Fun.
Ooh.
So she's got a long history with the organization. And Laura, we can't wait to see you in 2021. Greg, you were going to say?
I forgot.
Okay. I trust me, I have pages of questions, so we're good to
Okay,
go.
very good.
Jeff, I wanted to ask you, in particular for your airplane, how do you keep a 75-year-old airplane flying?
Well, I would say, luckily there were a lot of them made, but really the way that I, keep it flying, besides, tapping into the knowledge of the T6 community, which is a really great community in flying, is that I thankfully have some pretty good sponsors, some really good sponsors, actually. Dodson International supplies parts. They are a great parts supplier for really anything from a 152 to a 747. Honestly, it's a gigantic warehouse, and would recommend them out of Rantoul, Kansas. But another guy is Charlie Duffy, has CJ Aviation. He's provided a whole bunch of things for me, thankfully, and one of them is for a T6. Really, it's a godsend. There's the fuel selector valve is made with actual cork. So when they made it, they probably only expected it to last a few hundred hours and maybe a couple years or something like that. 75 years later, the only way to replace that up until a few years ago was with another cork valve from that era. So even new used stock wasn't very good. And he's got a very impressive and modern T6 fuel selector valve. And he also does my smoke pump and backup oil pump, and he does fuel pumps for really a whole bunch of certified airplanes. So check out CJ Aviation. They're a huge deal to us and very supportive of us as airshow pilots and as the airshow community in general. So I would definitely recommend that. Yeah. Sponsor
dollars make the world go round in the airshow community. It's just the nature of the beast for sure. And so I'm glad. I think CJ Aviation also does stuff with Team Aeroshell as well. So he's well connected with the big names in the industry. Rifle, I want to come to you next, and I want to talk a little bit about the P-51. How does it stack up against your RV-8?
Oh, these are always the hardest questions to answer. Like, tell us what your favorite airplane is, and it's that's an impossible thing to answer, right?
But you're going to for me. I know you will.
But I will. Yeah, I love that picture they're showing now. And that was a day two times back at AirVenture, and I just couldn't believe I found myself sitting on the wing of this airplane that I had just really drooled over for my entire life. And I'm sitting on the infield at a big show, and it's just almost indescribable as a kid that grew up just dreaming about the possibility even getting to touch or work on or clean an airplane like that. So it's an incredible privilege to start. The other part about the reality of flying that at this part in history is that it's such a precious piece of history. It's an airplane, a machine that is meant to tell a story now, and it deserves to be told, and it's very important that it is told. So it's a high responsibility to fly the airplane, for one. But I'm just so honored and privileged to get to do that. As far as how it flies like anyone may have ever dreamed it flies like. So the power is almost indescribable. I tell you what, yesterday morning we were here doing gunfighter ground school, and it was like 95% humidity, and one of the other guys went out to fly the airplane, and as it's rolling down the runway, and I knew it was going to happen before it did, that big 11-foot propeller is spilling vapor off the propeller tips as he barrels down the runway at 1,500 horsepower. It's mind-blowing.
I hope someone snapped a photo of that, because it's when you get a chance to see something like that, it's pretty awesome, to say the least. One of the things that I find interesting is the lives that you lead outside and or before you really came into the aviation fold, even if it was a part of your downtime. So Jeff, this question is directed at you. You used to work in medical devices, and then you made this huge career shift. How did this come about, where you said, you know what, I'm going to leave this field and I'm going to go pursue flying professionally instead?
Yeah, I never thought I would fly for a living, Steph, honestly. I just enjoyed it. I didn't want to ruin it by getting paid to do it. But it turns out that as I was sort of working, and Joe had been working on me for a couple of years, saying, you really ought to look into flying for a living. It's a good gig, and you might be surprised how much. And I remember I kind of sort of got to a place where I remember he said the words, you're stressed out. Why don't you go fly for a living? And it finally sort of sunk in. And I had the hours just being in this family and loving flying and flying everything we can get our hands on, and spending a lot of time at the airfield, and had gotten an ATP as a result of the FAA changing the rules and making it harder to do. There were thousands of us who went ahead and got an airline transport pilot certificate, which is sort of the minimum standard to be an airline pilot now. And I joined a regional airline and flew and loved it. And now I'm flying for Spirit Airlines, really enjoying it. So really hoping that industry will recover, and would certainly encourage people to get out there and fly when they feel safe. And I know that's a very individual decision, but I know our company and many other companies, Joe flies for Delta, and I know at least our two companies for sure are going out of their way to make air travel safe again. I mean, all you ever see is people cleaning stuff, and I know they're going really out of their way to make that safe. So it's been super fun, and I love it more than I thought I would. And people have said to me, I'm glad you get a chance to do what you love. And I like flying, but I really kind of enjoy the human interaction, the chance to kind of meet people as they're traveling on maybe stressful days or maybe bad weather days are fun for me, and the interaction with the other pilot in the cockpit. So, as the economy begins to recover and get back into it, I would still encourage kids to consider aviation and any facet of aviation still, because it's become more of the fabric of our society than it used to be. It used to be, growing up in Indianapolis, if we said, hey, we're going to Florida for spring break, or we're going to Florida for sun and fun, what we usually meant was we're driving to Florida. But now people almost universally mean they're flying. So that's what I would say. I love it. I hope I get a chance to continue flying for a living.
We agree, and we hope so too. I do need to ask you, Mickey, the image that we just showed was you standing in the engine with your in the intake with your son. You got to tell me about that particular photo. Would they bring out a ladder? How in the heck did you even get in that?
Yeah, I guess so. Actually, Jeff and I went and helped out with a day with the
TriStar experience.
10-11 at Kansas City International.
Yeah.
And it was a STEM program, part of the STEM program. And the kids, they had this whole airplane sectioned off in different parts of aviation. And so we were just helping sort of with questions that kids might have. And it was really a fun day. And then when we got all done, I think one of the maintainers said, well, you want to stand up in this engine? And we're like, yeah. Let's do that. So that was cool.
That's awesome. I have a game that I want to play with all of you guys. So we'll bring you all up on the screen. And the question is the who is game. And so I'll ask you, there's just a few of them, but we'll start. And you can tell me, you can come to an agreement, a consensus. My first question is, who is the most likely to go to bed first at an air show?
Oh my.
I'm sure it's Jeff. I'm sure it's Jeff.
I'm not going to say anything.
You know, I'm going to go with me. I'm the guy.
That's not true.
Okay. Who is most likely to remember a birthday?
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go with Mom on that one.
We'll go with Mom on that one for sure.
Who is the most likely to pick up a tab?
I would say Mom's father.
I was just going to
Yeah, Grandpa Turrell is the
My
guy
dad.
who he sort of inspired all of us to be that way. We aspire, all of us, to be the person who can
That's
get to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Bill
true.
Turrell. His name
Yeah.
is Bill Turrell.
And he was an aviator
For sure.
as well. So
Yeah.
kind of a bandit, but he was a great pilot.
The semi-private
the
license after
aviator
his second
bandit.
heart attack.
Yeah.
Actually-
Who has flown the most different types of airplanes?
Oh man.
Uh,
That is an ongoing,
constant battle.
it's a
But-
competition within this family.
Go ahead, you guys be honest. Go ahead, be honest. Tell them the truth.
Well,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
That's right.
no brainer.
Joe.
You got to give it to Rifle, but
Yeah.
I'm close on his heels.
But I have
I live
two
long
airplanes.
enough.
I have at least two that he's never flown.
So
So I don't
Ooh, that
have the
hurts a
number
little.
of airplanes, but
Extra points for uniqueness.
Yeah.
uniqueness.
Yeah.
True.
Who is the most tech savvy?
Oh gosh.
Rifle.
Rifle.
not me.
That was easy.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
I think it's Boomer, our little dog.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is my
Yeah, do we
next
include
question.
children here?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Boomer.
I would go with Liam, my grandson, most tech savvy.
I love it. We've got some photos that we'll actually share of him here in a little bit. Who is the most likely to pet a dog on the sidewalk?
All of us.
Oh,
Yeah, all of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
love my dog people. And then my last question in the Who is game is, who is the best pilot?
Mom.
Yeah, actually, I just flew the day before yesterday. It was awesome. Yeah.
Well, we call Greg the Jedi Master, and I
No,
don't
you
know, we whatever good we are, you guys will agree with me, I'm sure, Joe and Jeff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
If we're any good at all, it's because this man right here taught us. And
Yeah.
have
I
to-
can pile on that a little bit. Flying, whether it's the airline or in the Air Force or doing something in it. When I have the most challenging flight experience and live through it, I instantly think of and usually call my dad, because the first thought is, well, now I know what it was like to be him for all those years, doing some of the hardest flying known to man, flying night freight, single pilot in terrible weather and horribly maintained airplanes. And he has certainly done the most work in airplanes. There's no doubt.
That's awesome.
Well, I have to add something to all that too. I gave them some good basics, and now they're teaching me. So
Yeah.
This
they're
is why I
awesome.
love you all as a family. That right there encapsulates what makes you some of my most favorite people on planet Earth. Rifle, I want to talk to you a little bit about, you mentioned flying for the Air Force. You were the A-10 pilot in 2011, and that's when I actually met you. What was it like to represent the United States Air Force, traveling all over North America?
What an amazing experience. And I was able to do that for 2 years, 2010 and 11. And I was blown away by the people across North America and in Europe as well. Just amazing to interact with so many people in so many different communities and to tell the story of this amazing airplane and its mission. That was an experience I'll never forget. And it was, I didn't know completely what I was getting myself into, and when it was over, I have missed it ever since. That was an amazing thing to do.
Well, I think that is a very profound answer and certainly represents the Air Force well. And these images coming to you from Mark McGinn and Angela Harris with onboard images, and we appreciate them taking us inside your cockpit. But I want to keep you honest, and the way that I'm going to do that is bring in a guest right now, someone who you know well from your demo flight. And so I think that there's an opportunity for us to ask about some of the fun things that happened. So joining us now here in the chat is Major Eric Home O'Connor, who was the CF-18 demo pilot at the time. And Home, do me a favor, tell me a story about Rifle. I understand that he snuck up on you at one point while you were in your CF-18.
Yeah, Rifle and I started our first air show, and Greg was there as the FISDO, or one of the guys kind of hanging out at the show. It was in Columbia, Missouri, and I was leading a two-ship of F-18. And the idea was that we were going to be doing a fly pass down Main Street. It was going to be fast or slow. So obviously Rifle was going to be behind me. He was with Teflon. And I didn't know Rifle much at that time. And I met him in Vegas at ICAST. And I thought, okay, that sounds like a good guy. And so we're kind of circling. We're separated by a certain altitude to make sure we're deconflicted. And every kind of orbit that I'm doing, I'm looking, I'm good. There's Rifle and Teflon, and 2 or 3 turns later, I'm like, where is Rifle and Teflon? And suddenly I hear on the radio guns, and I look down, I look behind it. I got 2 mirrors, and sure enough, Rifle is about within 500 feet of my tail, and Teflon was within 500 feet of the other aircraft's tail, and that just started the camaraderie and the banter between the 2 teams, because after that there was every show the technicians were teasing each other. The technicians were timing our turns. It was like, who's doing the fastest turns? And
who was doing the fastest turns?
Say against that?
Who was doing the fastest
honest
turns?
moment.
Yeah, let's be honest. Who was fastest?
Go ahead.
Rifle likes to say that he was faster, but Rifle also didn't do a tuck under roll starting the maneuver. But it was a give and take. He won some, I won some, but it just started the entire season of fun flying between the 2 teams, and we developed an amazing relationship between the CF-18 demo team and the A-10 demo team. Everywhere we went, Rifle flew with us in the F-18. And he actually got me to want to get into general aviation, because every time I would land after an air show, I'm going to find him to have a drink. And I'm like, where is he? And Rifle cannot be by the tent where the beer is. He's looking at anybody that's got any airplane to give him, and he will fly. So back to the question of who has flown how many aircraft, I'm not surprised it's Rifle, because everywhere he goes, he's just walking hangars to hangars trying to get a free flight.
That's right.
I ended up buying an F1 rocket, and the first thing he will tell you, he flew it first.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Rifle, what does it mean to have that sense of friendship and camaraderie on the road as the demo pilot?
It's that sense of family that we share within the industry as a whole. It's a tight community, and though we travel thousands of miles to do what we do and to share our passion with the people across our countries respectively, it's when you're on the road in those days for Home and I, it was up to 30 different events a year, and it just flat became family. It was, we shared a bond with an experience of travel and aerobatics and performing at air shows that it's indescribable. It's just family, and forever will be.
Now, go ahead. I'll let you 2 duke it out. Who's going to tell this story? But I pulled this out of my personal photos. I took this photo in 2011 at the Abbotsford Air Show. And, Home, why don't you actually go ahead and start and explain what happened and what that photo's all about?
Well, so again, it's like, CF-18 demo team versus the A-10 demo team. Everywhere we went, there was something going on between these 2 teams. And Rifle had the ability to break his airplane on shows. So he had some sort of peach that flew off the airplane, and Kent Peach was there with Jelly Belly. So my guys that night went onto the airplane and duct tape in yellow Jelly Belly 2 on his jet.
Right, when you rolled up to your jet, tell me when you saw that, what was your reaction?
Well, it was twofold, because if anyone knows Kent Peach, he's a huge prankster as well. And now he would take more credit for what had happened the day before at the air show than maybe he deserves. But that, regardless of what that may be, the day before during the practice day, he, in his comedy routine, Kent dropped his important paperwork out of his interstate cadet and appropriately toilet papered my A-10 sitting on the ramp. And according to him, it was all intentional, and he absolutely intended to hit that airplane. So then the next day, I didn't know who to blame for sure. There's a entire CF-18 demo team, group of pranksters, or my own crew chiefs who were known to mess with me on the road. And then Kent is the standard prankster. So they had me right where they wanted me that day. There's no doubt.
Yeah, that someone got in your ear and said guns, and you're like, well, there you go. I'm all done. So obviously we had a chance to collect some photos. This is of Jeff and Home hanging out together. Certainly I know that for Home, he absolutely loves the family. Thank you guys. Thank you, Home, for joining us.
I just wanted to say also that, the entire family, for me being, Rifle had 1 year on the air show, but I was kind of a newcomer, and Mickey and Greg were like my adopted parents on the road. So that's why, we got to get very, very close to that family. And every time we see them, it's always big hugs, and it's always awesome to see the Shetterlys.
Yeah, so good to see you again, Home. Hope all's going well.
It's great to see you.
It's all good here in Canada.
All right. Good.
Glad to hear it, man.
I know I'm going to catch some grief for this from someone after. I just know it. But in the meantime, I will tell you that someone in the chat, not me, but someone has asked what's better, the F-18 or the A-10. So if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead, get your vote in, and we'll see how that stacks up if I can tally it mentally quickly in my head by the end of the broadcast. Home, thank you very much for your time. I now want to have an opportunity to talk to Rifle and Jeff about something that is near and dear to their heart and very fun, which is the Bro Show. How did the Bro Show start? What's the story behind it?
Well, first I want to give credit to Adam Baker, who Joe and I had flown what we called a bro flight, which was a name that I think absconded from the T6 community. Some great folks there, some great guys that maybe came up with that first, but we are actually brothers, so I felt like that was probably fair. And then, there's a video of us being goofy, but we've got some really, really good friends, and we ended up flying an air show in, what was it, Joe, 2018, the first bro flight or bro show?
Yep, that makes sense. At Laughlin Air Force Base, yep.
Yeah, yep. The Fiesta flight down there, and so Jeremy, Adam, Glenn Watson, Adam Baker. I can do this. I know my friends. Rifle and I, and really a whole bunch of other folks have really gotten in on it. I mean, the Bro Show is really, it's more ethereal. It's kind of a, there's a lot of broness out there.
Yeah, it transcends.
Patty Wagstaff is in the Bro Show, really, when you think about it.
Exactly.
So,
it really,
it
transcends traditional team dynamics. There's no doubt.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So we're happy to bring all the bros who really want to be bro. It's a thing.
I love it. Things are good. Things are good. So I want to talk to you guys, and Mickey, I'll start with you. In your downtime, not like you ever have any, but when you do have downtime, like for example, when I talked to you yesterday, you guys were out sailing. One of the things you love to do, and I see this over and over again in these performer profiles, where people who love the air also love the water. So Mickey, tell me a little bit about your love of sailing.
Oh, that's exactly right, Steph. We have met so many great sailors that are actually pilots as well. It's really no surprise. And after all the years in aviation and the noise of it all, Greg and I really love the peace and quiet. With the only real noise on the sailboat is the rush of the wind in the sails. And it's just a favorite thing. We actually have had a dream of living on a sailboat. And we do sleep on the sailboat quite often. And Greg says, let's see, it sails 6, eats 4, and sleeps 2. So
right. That's definitely our getaway. It's our cabin on the lake, and it's just such a relaxing time. Air shows are noisy and busy and great fun, but it really helps to kick back and just be around nature, use nature to get from one place to another, which is really fun. And then, where we're at, we see a lot of animals and eagles and deer and that sort of thing.
Right.
So it's just
Dolphins.
Yeah, and dolphins. So we're in the south of Texas on the Gulf Coast.
So I have a story about dolphins. I was down below in the sailboat, and we were on the Gulf Coast. And Greg said, "Mickey, come up here. There are like 12 or 14 dolphins following our boat." And it was just amazing. And I came up there and I said, "We have big band music on, and they love the big band music. That's got to be what it is." And then we discovered a little time after that the little bait box that Greg had on the back of the boat, the little bucket,
full of
little
shrimp.
door had come open, and the shrimp were coming out. And so the dolphins were telling their friends to come and
get a
come
free
behind
meal.
this nice music and find,
A lot like pilots, so we can find a free meal almost anywhere.
Who doesn't love big band? Let's be honest. For the boys, for Rifle and for Jeff, water sports and water activities are just as important for you guys too, right?
Yeah, go for it.
What are you into? What do you like?
Well, those guys are hanging out at Table Rock Lake, and our family loves to go there, and as well as Lake of the Ozarks, is where Jeff's family hangs out a lot of the time. But whatever we can get into, really, it's all the things Dad said about being in nature, but it's also great exercise. So everything from wake surfing to slalom skiing to the jet skis, or like this picture shows Jeff and I getting out on motorcycles. I think there's a correlation between motos and those who love aviation as well. So all of it in the name of being outdoors and getting exercise.
It's awesome. They're great photos. I want to talk about family, the important stuff right now, and the idea of balance between these incredibly busy lives you lead and the parts of your life that are absolutely the most important. How do you strike the balance? And as we talk about that, we'll be showing photos of your grandkids and your kids and all of that. So we want to share that with folks who are watching on the live stream right now. How do you find balance in all of this?
Well, okay, you mentioned grandkids. We have cousins camp every year. We have Jeff's 2 and Joe's 2, and so the 4 of them look forward to having their time with cousins, and sometimes more than once in the year as well. And I think we had our 7th one this year. This coming summer it'll be our 8th one, and we've done some fun stuff. We took a train ride with our bicycles into central Missouri, and we rode along the Katy Trail with our bikes, and it was really cold. It was like, I don't know, it was too cold. But I think there might be a picture in there of those guys with their bikes, and just some really cool stuff.
Yeah, the airshow industry has really helped keep us together in a lot of ways, because there are times that we get together at air shows that we would never get together without it. It pulls us together, and we have to work together, and but we also can enjoy each other together. It's really been a positive experience that way, where it's just awesome that we're able to hang out together at these shows, and the before and afters. I think the afters are really nice after the shows, and you're kicked back and you're relaxed, and it's a chance to really enjoy family, and then hanging out at these lakes and sailing and motorboating, all those things are just a great time for all of us together.
There was a picture there of you and Liam with Bob Hoover.
Oh yeah.
Stuff a minute ago.
Yeah, gosh, what an amazing time, neat experience. What a cool guy.
It's all about family, and you guys, you've done the most to maximize that, and I think that's amazing. There's a focus on youth, obviously, for a lot of the things that we do, and so we want to bring Greg Gibson back into the conversation because he has someone here with him from the Lakeland Aero Club. Colby Lee is one of the Lakeland Aero Club students, and Colby has some questions for you guys as a family. So with that said, we will bring Greg Gibson back into the conversation. Greg, let folks know you're in the Lakeland Aero Club hangar right now, correct?
Yeah, I am, Steph. We're back here in the now world famous Lakeland Aero Club. And I've got Colby here with me. I want to spin the camera out here in just a second. He's going to ask a couple of questions of the Shetterlys. And, you know, you talk about family, you talk about the things that make it special. Well, these guys and gals here in the Lakeland Aero Club are our family. And, you know, I've got a relationship that goes with the Shetterlys back to when Joe and I met at St. Joe, Missouri air show. That was 2010. And then we had, he does tend to sneak up on people. I want to know, you know, note that, Joe. There was that one time in Boise, but we're not going to get into that. So anyway, I'm going to bring it around here to Colby. He's got some questions for you. And let's see if I can get my camera to work here. See, there we go. All right, so coming around. Actually, we're not going anywhere. Holy buckets, what is this thing doing? There we go. All right, I finally got him. So fire away, Colby.
So I just had a couple questions. So out of all the people in your family, you know, who really inspired you guys to start flying?
Well, for me, it was my dad. When I was a early teen and even younger, he and I would go to the airport and kind of hang on the fence and watch people fly. And I remember, I don't know what he thought, but I thought you had to be rich to fly. And it's just not true. If it's what you really want, if it's a high priority, instead of buying that brand new truck, you might buy a used truck and think about getting into aviation and buying something different. We have a friend that has a Cessna 172 for sale for, I think, low 20s. And so it's not that hard. But my dad was that for me. And I was, he taught me how to hand prop an airplane and fly his little Taylor craft, like Greg, like that one you've got in there in the hangar. That's where it started for me. So.
Well, for me, it was my grandfather. So just sat around, talked about it, and he had a chance to fly with. He was never able to fly on his own, but he rode with some people and hung around the fence and just talked about aviation. And he's the one that really kind of got me interested. And I was the first one in my family to actually get certificated in flying an airplane.
How about you, Colby?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was my grandfather. He's a retired naval aviator. He flew F-4s. So from him, that's really where, from a young age, I started to kind of want to fly.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yep.
Colby, do you have another question?
I do. I've got one more. So just what's maybe a piece of advice you could offer to young aspiring aviators?
Go for it.
Oh, sure. That's a great question. I would say you want to be persistent and be organized with it, and take the time to ask a lot of questions of those that maybe have more experience of what you're doing right now, you know, and what we still do all the time. I mean, be a learner. I think I would say a lifelong learner. You know, none of us have it all figured out. I'm still learning a ton, and I think we all feel that way. And that's the only way that you really get better. And someday you may face a circumstance where I certainly have. I had an engine failure in the red airplane that we saw a picture of Liam in. Weeks before, a guy had said to me, the grease pencil trick. And I said, well, what's that? He goes, well, you know, if you ever lose an engine, if you're wondering you're going to make it to glide to a field, you know, take a grease pencil out, which of course nobody has one of those now, but I pictured one in my mind, and draw it across your windscreen. And if that thing is going up your windscreen relative to your grease pencil, your intended landing point, or versus going down versus your mark, then, you know, you'll know whether you're going to make it or not. And actually that allowed me to land on an airfield, amazingly, and we got out and had breakfast. So that was a cool day.
Yeah.
So
Colby, thank you. That's a really, Colby, thanks for joining us. We do appreciate it. Greg Gibson, stick with us here. I do want to let you know, Adam Baker did join the chat, and he says you are his favorite flying family, so he's out there watching. So
he's got a new addition to his family.
Yeah, he's got a brand new one.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yep, huge congratulations to him. So you guys, I really quickly, just because I think, Jeff, you mentioned you might have some of your old Army buddies joining, and I think we have these photos queued up in the hopper. You were a tank platoon leader back in the day, and we've got some photos of you, and it may take us a second to sort of get them in the queue.
Sure.
But if your buddies are watching, I want to make sure we deliver on the photo. So ta-da, there it is. We did.
Yeah, we were a gnarly platoon. That was really good. I was blessed to have my peers, the lieutenants that were in my battalion, the 1st Battalion, and our commander, Colonel Dave Perkins, and we called him Super Dave. He's just a great leader, and he ended up becoming a 4-star general, and all my buddies ended up doing really cool things. These are those are so great. Some of my soldiers I just love so much, and I miss those guys. So if any of you guys are out there, please reach out. I know Sergeant Hilsinger's on the chat. I think he's down in Texas as well, and he's in that photo right there. My gunner, one of the greatest guys that I served with. Really enjoyed working with Alan Hilsinger.
Well, we appreciate your service, and Rifle for your continuing service, as well as Greg for your service as well. So thank you guys so much for that. I want to take an opportunity again to direct people to the website. It's flysnf.org. Greg Gibson, let's pull you back in here if we can. I want to ask you very quickly to just tell me about the silent auction.
Steph, for the upcoming live online air show benefit that we're having on the 30th, the way that they can get in all the free stuff, we got prizes with trips, we've got shirts, we've got all kind of different things, tickets to Sun and Fun 2021. There's a lot of things there, but the way you get in on that is you go to the flysnf.org and follow the link to register for the silent auction. Now, you don't have to bid on anything, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's absolutely free. So go on there, log on. That will give you the chance, and then watch the show on the 30th and see if you want. It'd be something really cool, and it's easy to get involved.
Perfect. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being a part of the chat. Thank you to Home for joining in from Canada, and everyone out here on the chat. I think the winning answer, which made me laugh, because there was like a dogfight in there, like which is the better aircraft, but someone chimed in with the F-35. So that that gets me out of any difficulty, because I don't have to choose one or the other. And I'll let you know. I'm taking the easy way out on that one. And just to let you guys know, on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, we've got Noah joining us live, which I think will be outstanding. So guys, it's been a pleasure as always. I meant every word I said, and you know it, that you are one of my favorite aviation families. So it was a joy to be able to talk to you guys today.
Thanks, Steph.
Thanks, Steph.
Great to see you guys. It was awesome.
Thanks, Greg.
guys. We'll see you on Tuesday at 6 p.m. or on the website in the meantime with lots of content.